Glasgow. Glasgow is Scotland's biggest city and the third biggest in the United Kingdom after London and Birmingham. About 630,000 people live in the city and about 1.2 million in and near it. It is not very far from Edinburgh, about 50 minutes by train, but it is very different. The River Clyde runs through the centre of Glasgow, and it has an important part in the story of Glasgow. 200 years ago, Glasgow was a small town. Then, British ships began to go all over the world. Big ships came up and down the River Clyde. They carried things from other countries. In the 1800s, Britain was the richest country in the world. Shipbuilding became very important, and Glasgow became a city of shipbuilders. At one time, it was the fourth largest city in Europe after London, Paris, and Berlin. You can see some of the beautiful buildings from that time in George Square. Today, there is not much shipbuilding. Some parts of Glasgow are very poor, and many people have no work. But things are changing in Glasgow. Ask a Glaswegian, a person from Glasgow. To them, Glasgow is the friendliest city in Britain and one of the most exciting cities in Britain too. There are lots of things to do at night in Glasgow. It is, perhaps, the best city in Britain after London for shopping too. Like Edinburgh, it is a green city. It has 70 parks, and you can often see the hills from the centre of the city. It is a city of museums. You can see many beautiful pictures in the Glasgow City Museum and Art Gallery, and in the Burrell Collection and Pollock House, south of the Clyde. It is the city of Charles Rennie Mackintosh. About 100 years ago, Mackintosh and 3 friends began a new look in building: Art Nouveau. Much of Mackintosh's best work is in Glasgow. His Glasgow School of Art is on Renfrew Street. After you visit it, you can have a coffee at the Willow Tea Rooms, also by Mackintosh, on Sauchiehall Street. And Glasgow is, of course, a big football city. You can watch Glasgow Celtic at Celtic Park, or Glasgow Rangers at the Ibrox Stadium on Saturdays between August and May. 4 Scottish cities. Aberdeen, with 192,000 people, is the third biggest city in Scotland. It is in the east of the country, on the North Sea, and it is between 2 rivers, the Dee and the Don. Fishing and shipbuilding were once important here, but now it is famous as the oil capital of the UK. Boats and planes leave Aberdeen every day for the oil and gas fields of the North Sea. It has 2 universities and many wonderful parks and gardens. The musicians, Annie Lennox and Evelyn Glennie, both come from Aberdeen. Visitors to Aberdeen often go to its beautiful long beach or go climbing south of the city. Aberdeen is close to the cold and beautiful mountains called the Cairngorms, and there are more than 350 castles in this part of the country. One of them is Balmoral, the Queen's Castle. Queen Elizabeth comes here every summer. Dundee, on the River Tay, is near the North Sea too. Like Glasgow and Aberdeen, it was once important for shipbuilding. The ship Discovery was built here and left Dundee in 1901 for Antarctica. Now, more than 100 years later, the ship is back in Dundee again, and you can visit it there. Dundee is also famous for marmalade. The Keeler family began making orange marmalade here in 1797, and it became famous all over the world. Inverness is the only city in the Highlands. The best bagpipers in the world come here to play every September. It is close to the beautiful lake called Loch Ness. Loch is the Gaelic word for lake. A very big animal called the Loch Ness Monster, or Nessie, lives in Loch Ness. An old story says this, and thousands of tourists go there every year to look for it. But Nessie does not come. Perhaps this is just a story for tourists. Then there is Stirling, to the northeast of Glasgow. Many visitors go through Stirling when they go to the Highlands. It has a wonderful castle, one of the biggest and most important castles in Scotland. The Battle of Bannockburn in 1314 was near here, and here Mary became Queen of Scotland when she was only 6 days old.